Folks, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. I'll explain. Number one, it's absolutely free. Means you don't pay a dime out of pocket. Number two, you can use creation tools to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, like I'm doing with my phone. Number three, if you want to hear it on multiple platforms, Anchor can do that for you. So you can hear it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, among others. And the thing is, you can make money without anybody listening. As little as that. And everything you need to do is to make a podcast is all here. To get started, please download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You'll be glad you did. Good morning. For the final time this season, it's game day. 5:30 ESPN. CANES in the Oklahoma State Cowboys from Camping World Stadium in Orlando in the Cheez-It Bowl. Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselback, Katie George, ESPN. Joe Z, DBJ, Josh Darrow, 560 to Joe in Miami and in South Florida. If you want to listen to the game in Spanish, Unánimo Deportes has that with Alfredo Alvarez and Jose Martinez. Bowl game. You know the deal there with bowl games. Our history in the last decade has not been good. We've only won one bowl game in that time. And ironically enough, it was in this stadium, Camping World, against West Virginia in 2016. But our bowl history has not been kind to us. Now, we've only faced Oklahoma State once, and that was in 91. We blew them out 40-3 en route to the title. Our fourth of five we would win. When you look at Oklahoma State, here's a couple things that jump out at me. The biggest stat that jumps out at me is third down conversions, defense. Oklahoma State is second in the entire country in third down conversion defense, allowing opponents to convert just 26% of the time. That is unbelievable. I looked at that stat yesterday and said to yourself, wow, these guys are for real when it comes to third down conversions and not allowing them to convert in those situations. The thing you have to remember here is Oklahoma State's not without a lot of guys today. Look at when I look at their depth chart, yeah, they lose a big piece today. But when you look at their line, they have redshirt freshman, fifth-year senior, redshirt sophomore, and a redshirt junior. And they're going to have Wallace back on that side. So it's going to be a challenge for us today to have to go against him because he is an explosive player. Now, you know Oklahoma State's not going to have Chuba in this game. He opted out. But they're still loaded at running back with Richardson, who they are very high on, Desmond Jackson, who's hurt, and L.D. Brown. But you look at them and says, whoa, these guys, and they have a good quarterback in Spencer Sanders. When I looked at them in their last game, they blew out Baylor 42-3. But this is a team that has given up a lot of points and a lot of yards against Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and TCU. Now, when you talk about a couple things here, they have some good players. But, of course, like I said, Wallace is their biggest threat. He's their biggest threat. I mean, it was semifinals for the Biletnikoff. And he was Tyler Rose and Mayo Clinic Comeback Player of the Year awards. He was a semifinalist for all of those. He's a two-time academic All Big 12 receiver. a finalist for the Biletnikoff 2 years ago. And he returned after missing the final 5 games last year due to injury. He's the Big 12 leader in receiving yards per game and receptions per game. And he's the active career leader in college football with 78.8 receiving yards per game. Number 5 in the FBS with 199 career catches. And he has 14 career 100-yard receiving games. That's the most by any active player in college football right now. And he had 187 receiving yards against Texas. Their other receiver is another receiver they have is Dylan Stoner. 247 against Baylor was the third most in Oklahoma State history. That tells you something. I mean, he's had 37 catches for 530. And he's had a catch in 47 of the past 48. And he's had 3+ catches in 24 of his last 29. And when Wallace got hurt, he stepped up and became their top receiver. He's had 500-yard games in his career. And it's three straight years of 40+ catches coming into the season. That's 37 this year. And they have another, and their backup is Tay Martin. He came in late, and he had 9 catches for 76. They have and also Braden Johnson. He's one of their fastest players. He ran a 21:13 in high school in the 200 meters. And he's a guy who can really hurt you with the big play. I mean, he led the team in receptions last year 21-3. And he's a threat on kickoff returns. Landon Wolf made a catch against Texas. He's had 21 catches. He's third most on the team. They have a true freshman in Presley. But they have a thing they call the cowboy back. In other words, a tight end. Logan Carter. I mean, he was a walk-on who was going on scholarship last season. And they have Dylan Metcalf, 6'3", 240. He's another walk-on. Now, again, running back tonight, they don't have Chuba. But they have a good back in L.D. Brown. And like I said, Dominic Richardson is the kind of guy who they're very, very high on. He was the Big 12 newcomer of the week for that big performance against Baylor. He had 169 and 3 TDs in that game. Put that in perspective. The second highest by an Oklahoma State true freshman ever. Number 1 on that list, a guy you might have heard of, especially if you're in Buffalo. That would be number 34, Thurman Thomas. 206 yards against Kansas State in 1984. Now, when it comes to us, the thing we have to do, we have to get Derek King involved early and often today. We have to step up. We have to get this done. We need guys to come up big today. So, again, we're not going to have Q. We're not going to have Jalen in there. But I want to see the young guys step up today on the outside. Now, I don't think the chain came out at all against Carolina. And I'm going to tell you this. What we better start doing is we got to find out which Canes team's going to show up today. Because, Oklahoma State's got weapons. And they're very good on defense. They're very good on defense, especially on third downs. We've got to stay out of third and long situations. We got to make sure we be about 3rd and 5 or less today. But if we're 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, that's asking for trouble against a very good Oklahoma State defense who makes a lot of stops on third downs. Now, the thing I've got to find out is which Canes team's going to show up today. Which Canes team shows up today? Against Carolina, they did not show up at all. Period. That's just as simple as that. That's just a simple fact. Which Cane team shows up today? Will the Canes that show up today be the one that was dominant against Duke? Or the Canes team that got dominated by Carolina, allowing almost 800 yards total offense? I know the Canes are sick and tired of hearing about Carolina. They're sick and tired about hearing about how they got dominated on the ground, allowing almost over 550 yards on the ground. I get the feeling this Cane team is going to come out angry, and they're going to come out to make a statement today. Yes, we know Oklahoma State's very good. We know about that. But there should be no excuse why the Canes don't win this ball game today. And I think we will win this ball game today. I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be nip and tuck for about a half. But I think in the second half, you're going to start to see the Canes wear down Oklahoma State. You're going to start to see the Canes impose their will. And I think D'Eriq King in the second half gets going, comes out fast, and in the second half, we start to pull away. I'm going to go with Canes 38, Oklahoma State 21. Back tomorrow with the game wrap-up. Win or lose, go Canes.